And now that you are the president, was it regrettable that President Mugabe didn't leave legitimately and under elections a long time ago?
Now, during, with the new constitution, which came into office, into effect on the 22nd of May 2013, we have now limited the terms of presidency, just 2 terms, 5 years. If you are able to have 2 terms, then you can, the maximum a person can remain in office are 2 terms. But beyond that, the constitution forbids.
Do you give a pledge that you will abide by that?
Would like to entrench constitutionalism in Zimbabwe.
But will you abide by the 2 terms that you have introduced?
I will abide by that without any iota of resistance at all. Even if the people would love me to the hill, I will still go away because I believe constitutionalism is important. And in fact, you must give your people a chance to have other people come. 10 years is not a short period, in my view. 10 years is not a short period, in my view.
There'll come a time in life where the only option that you have is to choose yourself. And the time for Zimbabweans to choose themselves is now. Emmerson Mnangagwa has proven beyond doubt that he's mentally unchallenged. His dishonesty, his vile, his greed, he has no capacity to lead anybody. In fact, he has turned our country into a mental institution. I invite every Zimbabwean, it's time for you and I to do what is right. What is right is to think about ourselves in generations to come, because we are about to lose our children. Mnangagwa and his criminal gangs deserve to be behind bars. Let me look at the comment from Musmaiman. I condemn unequivocally the decision taken by Emmerson Mnangagwa. In South Africa, we cannot sit back and watch the eroding of democracy and constitutionalism in Zim. I just want to say this to Musmaiman. Zimbabweans fighting for democracy and constitutionalism is one thing. Zimbabweans are fighting for life. Majority of our people are not living. They are just suffering. We've been oppressed for the past 4 decades. And I also want people to know that the man called Emmerson Mnangagwa spearheaded the killing of 4 people in Matabeleland, almost 20,000. Maybe the numbers are uneven correct, considering the lies that we've been told. He's also being accused of spearheading some deaths in ZANU-PF, especially the ones that people were being killed via accidents. We don't want to talk about abductions, torture, and killings that has been going on, opposition individuals, my activists. He was the Minister of State Security. And he boldly declared that all those structures, he created them. This is the very same man that came in 2017 via the back door, via the coup. And immediately after that, he's also being accused of eliminating most of the generals, nearly 50 generals that we've lost thus far. This man, Emmerson Mnangagwa, he will never change. He does not have the capacity to do so. The only solution is for Zimbabweans to drag him and put all his gangs behind bars for Zimbabweans to actually live and save their country or our country. Let's take a listen to Tendai Biti on SABC.
Your time, I was making the point that as far as the age of constitutions goes, 13 years since the adoption of the Zimbabwean constitution, it's on amendment number 3. What does this amendment signify?
Well, it's a complete betrayal of the people of Zimbabwe. It's a complete betrayal of the values of the liberation struggle. Remember, the center of gravity of the liberation struggle was 1 man, 1 vote, and the capacity of every Zimbabwean, the right of every Zimbabwean to choose leaders of their choice. Now, if 280 people are now going to replace 17 million people, that's a betrayal of the liberation struggle. The liberation struggle was fought on the basis of regular, free and fair elections. If we're not going to have 7 elections, 7 years, elections in 7 years, that's a betrayal. One of the things that we agreed in 2013, after years and years of struggle, was limited terms of office, because we had the president in the form of Robert Mugabe, who could hardly take himself to the bathroom. We had been there for years, so we put term limits, like every other country in the world, including South Africa. So this is a complete disaster and a declaration of war against our people by this government.
Initially, I seem to recall reporting that it suggested that President Mnangagwa was not keen on this idea of a constitutional amendment. But I mean, it's now water under the bridge that has now happened through various processes. It appeared as if there were many points at which there could have been an off-ramp from this path. The public participation processes that took place, the various challenges, including in court. Why could none of these mechanisms work to stop this move towards this amendment?
Basically, these African dictators, none of them ever say they want to mutilate the constitution. They always say, I'm forced, the people wanted it. And Mnangagwa is proof that he was no exception. Secondly, the process of public consultation was marred with violence, was marred with coercion. Only 67 meetings were held across the country, 67 venues. People were beaten up there in broad daylight. Harare lawyer Doug Coulthard was assaulted in broad daylight. Professor Love Momaduk was assaulted in broad daylight. I and my team have had our offices blockaded, our people beaten up, our people in prison, students have been imprisoned. So autocracy has been the order of the day. Fascism has been the order of the day. They are refusing to take this bill to a referendum. Yet the constitution is very clear that if you want to remove term limits, you have to go to a referendum. If you want those term limits removed or to benefit you as an incumbent, you have to go to a second referendum. So the whole thing has been, dragged through by force, by the bullet, by this regime. And to compound that, you have the challenges of our people being chased away from South Africa. So it has been a very difficult period for the ordinary average Zimbabwean.
Say a bit more about that. Let's pick up on that point. Several Zimbabwean nationals returning either voluntarily or through this, process between the two countries. The last update said about 60,000. So what does this reality of this amendment mean for the stability of the country, political stability, and the sense that perhaps they are not returning to a country that is in a protracted political and governance crisis?
You yourself know Zimbabwe very well, and you know that what drove our people into the diaspora was the corruption and the mismanagement of the economy by Robert Mugabe, was violence and political persecution, particularly Gukura Hundi, 82 to 87, particularly the violence around 2008 and the runoff election involving Morgan Tsvangirai and the MDC. But South Africa and Mbeki in particular must accept the responsibility of the implosion of the immigration crisis and the refugee crisis in South Africa, because Mbeki, when he had an opportunity, chose stability over democracy, refused to accept Morgan Tsvangirai as the elected president in 2008, forced a dubious government of national unity, which kept ZANU-PF in power. The result is that millions of our people fled into the diaspora. Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 means more suffering for our people. Our country has been taken over by syndicates and cartels. They are the ones that are sponsoring this bill. Looting and state capture has been taken to another level. So the people that are being forced to South Africa are entering a cauldron of corruption, of joblessness, of poverty, of inflation, of underaccumulation. So it's a double-barreled pain, which simply means that we're heading into a conflict because our people will not accept that.
How much responsibility, though, Mr. Biti, should the opposition take for the fractious nature of opposition politics especially over the last decade or so, to the extent that some commentators would probably say that it would not have been as easy to ram through Constitution Amendment Bill number 3 had the opposition been in a stronger position, and in fact even going forward in seeking to challenge it even now after its passing.
I think that despite the physical state of the opposition, which is disarray, there is opposition to ZANU-PF and the ruling party. And the opposition consists of the millions that are jobless. Opposition consists of the millions that are wallowing in poverty. And the government knows that. That's why they are refusing to go to a referendum. If you think the opposition is weak, if you think there's no opposition in Zimbabwe, why are you not allowing free expression? I was arrested in Mutare for just having a private meeting. As Constitutional Defenders Forum, we've had over 200 meetings banned by the police. If ZANU-PF thinks there is no opposition, why don't you take this constitutional amendment to a referendum as is required by Section 328 of the Constitution? They won't do it because people of Zimbabwe will wipe them and reject it completely, as they did on the 11th of February 2000 in the first constitutional referendum that took place more than 20 years ago.
Lastly, and very briefly, Mr. Biti, what does opposing this amendment after its signing into law look like? Already, I mean, for instance, on the issue of the referendum, I understand that the Constitutional Court said, well, it can actually happen despite the absence of a referendum, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong. So with that having happened,
No.
What does opposition
the Constitutional Court didn't.
It's the Supreme Court.
Yeah, no, the court didn't say that. In fact, the court 2 years ago actually indicated that when you remove term limits, you actually need a referendum.
Right.
So the answer to your question is very simple. You're going to see serious multiple litigations, particularly in the Constitutional Court. You are going to see serious activities on the ground with people complaining, people demonstrating as allowed by the Constitution. You're going to see serious clampdown, arrests, and so Zimbabwe enters into another phase of conflict, such as the one you saw in the last 40 years, where it's a we and them, it's a monarchian black and white situation where the government is there and the citizens are there. Right. So we are being dragged into another cycle of dispute, conflict, and attrition, which you yourself has witnessed personally when you were in Zimbabwe as a reporter.
All
right. So please, I'm asking you to like the video, comment responsibly, share, and subscribe for those that have not. You'll never regret being around here. So many Zimbabweans are angry, and I'm going to let you listen to Mnangagwa as well. He has a special message for Emmerson Mnangagwa and the war veterans. Take a listen.
Mnangagwa ndimaitaura nomuromo wenyu muchivhunzwa namareporters, international reporters. Muchiti muchatonga kana temu yenyu yapera zvakwana. I won't put in a iota of resistance. Ike zvino, it's a different story. Ndiudzei icho muchada kugadzirisa chamakatadza in the last 10 years. Chomuchagadzirisa izero. Chii chinopa kuti nyika yomunotonga vanhu, maministers omunotonga nawo, including imimi, if I'm not mistaken, munoisa mhuri dzenyu kunze kwenyika kuti vagare ikoko, imimi chitamba ubachirwa kuita a long distance relationship, government minister, and tokuwai muchitaura kuti zigi redu is the strongest currency in SADC. Vedve chero tichinzi tanga tiri madofu kuchikoro, hatizosviki pakudofora kusvika pasaisi iyeyo. Imi mahovheti ikenotarisai perere muri kuita zvenyu ende zvinonzwisa tsitsi. Apo ndopo munofanira kuziva kuti pano vari kumusoro novari pasi vasiri kufara nezvinhu zvomuri kuita. Muri kupera 1-1 ende chiri kukupedzai muri kuchiziva kuti chii chiri kutipedza, ndo laki yachona ye laki romunaro, at least muri kuzviziva, asi muri kuramba makati dukuzuzu kunge huku dziri kurarira masai. Ndiani chero pakauya umwe munhu weopposition angagadzirisa damage yamakaita for 40 years plus nearly 50 years, angaigadzirisa in 2 years? Hakuna zvakadaro. And it's unfortunate rumwe ruzhinji rweZimbabwe harusi kuzviziva. Smith hongu aitonga achisarudza vanhu vatema, but Smith mvura yaiwanikwa, mabasa raiva jawi. Smith wakarohwa masanctions anonzi masanctions. I still remember bamunini wangu vaisenza kubhata, vazhinji venyu vamwe munovaziva. Vakadzoka, that was 75, vaita atanzwa nemasanctions, saka shangu dzimwe dzaienda mhiri kwamakungwa hakusina. But Smith managed to soldier through, achirwisana nehondo on 2 fronts. One front yaibva nokuZambia, one front yaibva nokuMozambique. Zambia kwaibva namazipura, kuMozambique kuchibva namasarila forces. Asi he managed to pull through. Isu tingatozviti takakurira muhondo, because futi dzakatanga kuridzwa nezano, that is ZAPU, I think yanga yatoridza utara pamwe tisati tatombozvagwa ndofunga kunana 62-63 if I'm not mistaken. Saka chipo chokoti takazvarigwa muhondo, tikakurira muhondo, tichofunga kuti tichazogarika. Asi alas, that was not the case to be. Tiri munhamu namatambudziko, tiri kumwa mvura ine svina mukati menyika yakakombwa nemvura, asi dzimwe nyika dziri mumagwenga dzichidya dzichipfachura, dzichimwa dzichipfachura. Kuisa urombo kwezvinoita. Ndikatarisa nyika yekata, nyika yandakambosvika, nyika inoyevedza, asi nyika iri pakati pegwenga, ende ina maresources maviri, gas neoil. We are far too richer than Qatar. Kana iko kunonzi United Arab Emirates, popularly known as Dubai, we are far richer than Dubai. UAE, United Arab Emirates. Asi chi chatakasiyana navo, takasiyana navo pachunhu. Ukatarisa even vanhu vavo mabasa avanoita ndayawo maoffice hard labor inoitwa namaforeigners. Kuratidza kuti vane chido nokuvaka nyika ina maresources too as well. Asi isu, we have got multiple resources: aluminium, gold, copper, lithium, you name it. We are outnumbered by our resources, but our people are suffering, and the pain is right on the bone. Kwese kwetinoenda kunana South Africa, futsek. Ende Mnangagwa muri kuda kuita dzimwe 2 years dzei dzokuti vana vanzi futsek. Aiwa kusvoda man. Hapana chinhu chinonakidza sokuti sorry kumunhu wakatadzira, angava mukadzi mumba chaiye. Vamwe edu varume hongu tino vocabulary yacho tingati ishoma kwatiri yokuti sorry. Kuudza munhu kuti sorry, murume unoona seazviserudza, but varume vazhinji zvetinoita, unomona dzimwe namba atenga dhirezi andokanda pamubhedha achiziva kuti mukadzi uchasvika achiriona, kutotaura kambisira kuti sorry ndakakakwaona munhu womurume wodero, kureva kuti sorry kana undotenga imwe bhutsu inodhura steke ukouya ugadzikapo mukadzi usvika achiona. Ndo zvinoita imi, ndo zvamaide makaita. Kana muchiona kuti sorry inokuserudzai, you could have developed the country. Manga mune chance yokupa mhosva Mugabe kuti zvaitwa nomukuru wangu, asi makaratidza kuti makadai chinozibwa hapana, because you failed even to build hospitals zokuti murapwe. ndoda kukutaurirai chokwadi. Dei nyika dzokuno, varungu venyika dzokunze vaida kukuurayai imi, it was easy, because ndoko munogara muchingondorapwa. Kwanga wangobaya jekiseni rokuti zvichifira zvakadero ngonzi mafa. Ponyogwa ripoti yenhema kuti wakazokurigwa nezvakati zvopikiswa nani. Asi moti varungu havatidi. Vana venyu imimi vanonyora Cambridge, vedu isu vachinyora Zimsek. Imi munogara namayusa, munhu akaisa mamari mumba zvinonzi wakaibhengepi. Takaona umwe ex-wife umwe shefu wenyu achiti hey, wakaibhengepi mari iye, apa waisigwa zvinhu zvaasiri kuda kubhadhara pamba. Vedu ndakakuzaini, munoona vamwe vachimhanya. Ndoda kukupa example yakanaka zvikuru. Mama Gaddafi, he was doing good for his country, but the mistake he did was kusada kubva pastage. But he was doing good. No matter how good a dancer you are, leave the stage. Iye mimaovheti munoita zvokuvata kudero, vamwe venyu vakabva vane zvirirema, vamwe vakaroga maziso nemabara epfuti. Muri kurega madhaka akadai achiitika mukati menyika. Vana venyu vachafamba vachipfira pamakuva enyu kuti tu imbwa idzi ndokunge vakunyarai, otherwise vanouya kuzoitira toilet pamusoro ipapo kuitira number 2. Handisi kuti chiine su vanhu vatema chinoti tisina kana kachidokwa chokuti vanhu, munhu worudzi gwako, munhu womukati menyika yako agare zvakanaka, asi unoda kunamato ita sokunonzi ndiwe Mwari. Imi zivai zvamunoita. Inyika rudzii inotizoona mabillionaires vachinogara kunze kwenyika. Our only billionaire is not living in Zimbabwe. Most of your ministers have got homes outside Zimbabwe. It shows lack of confidence in yourself. Nyika iya nokusadzidza kwangu chero ndikanzi itonga. It's a matter of a few years in a year, right? Asi mazvitadza for the past 40, nearly 50 years. Kutadza kutonga vanhu vashoma vakadero. Kokuzoti nyika dzina 350 million vana Nigeria. Do you know Mnangagwa kuti population yeZimbabwe iripo nhasi tose tokwanisa kunogara muCairo kuEgypt. Cairo ine more than 19 million people, far more than the population of Zimbabwe. So is Lagos or a city like Tehran. Munoshodesa makonewa. Hapana zvomuchagadzira zvamakakonewa. You were an understudy of Mugabe for years. You should have done better, but it was from bad to worse.
South Africa has been gracious towards us. And this is our season, Zimbabweans, for us to play our part and make sure we never entertain any criminal again. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Until next time, God bless you and God bless Zimbabwe. Bye for now.